We ready?
We lost Jane. Oh, she's
No,
there.
I'm here.
Okay.
She's raising the desk.
All right, 6:30. I'll call the meeting to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, any questions on the consent agenda? Get a motion to approve.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Budget passes, carries. Turn over to Aaron and Shalice for a budget update.
Great. Thank you so much. Just getting our presentation there. Okay, and so you have a copy of it. It's in black and white. You have 2 slides each. And actually, I don't know that Jane can see that. I should have sent her a PDF. So maybe we'll make sure she
I think
has
it came
access.
in the board packet.
Okay,
Yeah.
so she has it. Good,
Yep.
excellent.
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. All right, so this is going to be, we have identified budget update and then enrollment projections and bargaining update. So they're going to just all in the same presentation. So, and Shalice, your mic is on, right? And so just jump in. You may have a question specific to Shalice. She's going to remain right there. So what you notice for the 24-25 as far as March goes is our enrollment is staying about the same. So December, January, February, March, we're really excited about that because typically that's not what happens. So I think we said we actually increased
by 0.5.
0.5 FTE for the month of March.
$1,000, yeah.
And when we on yesterday, we had our district leadership team meeting and we talked about individuals shared, when we went over this, that individual principals were like, and we're going to add another one this week. And after we come back from break, we're going to add a few more. So that's all good.
Any idea why we were able to keep our enrollment this year? Any ideas?
I don't know. I think it's a typical trend in every district
Okay,
to start going down towards the end of the year because people start moving or they start, changing to another school. So actually, I'm surprised we haven't seen that downturn. I did notice that last year it started a little bit later.
okay.
You can
Right,
kind of see
yeah.
from the graph from 23-24 that it was a little bit flat in February and March. And then it did go down, but it was very minimal last year too, the amount that it went down.
Yeah, so back to your question about what do we think? Is there anything that we're doing intentionally
Yeah.
that is causing this change in what we typically
For
see?
retention, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe when we projected our enrollment and we know that we have more students than we thought we were going to have. So we projected very conservatively, but I guess that doesn't answer the question. So what is it that we're intentionally doing? Because it's hard to tell right now. I don't know that we can say specifically there's something that we're doing.
Changing times, and could be anything.
Yeah, it certainly could be.
Right.
Right? That absolutely, and we don't know that we have any indicators that are identifying. I appreciate, the conversation of what are we going to see, and to Shalice's point, last year it happened a little bit later that we saw a drop. What we typically do see also is students maybe go from our attending on a regular basis to one of our buildings to WLA. So we usually see, if you were to look at the WLA enrollment, it's increasing more the last couple months.
Mhm.
And so we really appreciate having that online option for families. Okay, so next slide. This is just 23-24. We're gonna leave it in here just to revisit where we were last year about this time. So only just to have that reference point that the last year where we were and we were not happy being there, to what Shalice had shared in November, what she thought we were gonna look like if we're projecting out. So that's what she thought. So if we go back, that's where we were last year. This is what we were projecting for this year. And this is where we are now. So you look at February, and we're sitting right there at 6% fund balance. So we feel really good about that for February compared to where we were a year ago. And then what she's projecting for the future months, you see where we quite possibly where we think we're going to end. So what helps with this is the enrollment. What helps with this is, I think, maximizing, we're trying to maximize as much as possible our grants. Anything else you can contribute to?
Yeah, so I put a couple notes on the bottom of the slide for this one. Chris Reykdal did a presentation where he pretty much said that he feels very, very confident that we're going to be backfilled in our TK dollars. So at the beginning of the year, they said too many TK students, we didn't budget enough. Now they're saying like 99% we're going to backfill you. So before in November, the projection included us not receiving 100% of our TTK. This projection now includes us receiving 100% of our TTK. They said that we should have a short month in April, and then through May through August, they should bring us to 100% funded. So that was not projected in November and now is, so that really helped. My other note is just our flow of accounts payable is a little different this year. We've been trying really hard to, when we're done with the month, we've tried to get as up to date as we possible, contacted vendors, tried to get our contracts as up to date so that we can get everything through. Last year, there was some lags where then we would have a huge month because we would finally get, 3-4 months of past invoices, and we're trying to bug vendors to get them so that we're more timely and it's easier to project our flow. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Do you have a guess on what the total dollar per TK is for our district?
Yes.
I mean, the gap total or
what the whole funding, if we're fully funded, how much?
Oh, it's like 992,000.
Okay.
So it was around 300,000 was the gap.
That we were short.
Yeah. So when you look at, you can go back at November where we were based on not having that information.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why the projection looks like it does. It's not going back. Here we go. What it looked like in November. And then as she mentioned, we've actually heard this multiple times about what we think is going to happen with TK.
Yeah. No,
and also the current bill is looking at this year's enrollment, and this would be the cap would be for 24-25, which for us would be the best,
very positive.
the best scenario for us versus 23-24.
Yeah.
Because that's 80 FTE. The only other item to note is between the November projection and now we have submitted for safety net. So we have an idea of how much we submitted for. We won't find out if we're approved until around May. And then we receive those dollars in August. So we submitted for a larger amount than we budgeted. And so hopefully we receive it.
Any other questions?
Yep.
So you see in November, the information we have, and now we're in March and we see the information we have, and legislatively we're tracking what, the right now where the bills are with MSOCs, with special education, with TK, and then any other potential funding sources or increases. And then we won't know exactly right till the 27th if they finish on time. So this is that comparison. You can look at 23-24 to 24-25, and then February fund balance comparison, 1% to 6% current, where it was 24 this February. So appreciate the work that's gone into that positive result.
I appreciate the work that's gone into that result.
And then just looking at the other funds, I don't know if you have any specific questions about those other funds, or if Shalice, you have any context you want to add.
I don't. As a reminder, the ASB fund is run by the students. It's been going really well. You can see they have a really nice ending fund balance. Our debt service, we just did our bond refund. We'll realize that in April. So there will be a large transaction that goes through the fund in April, realizing the refund at that point. Yeah.
And then the capital fund amounts.
And is anything leaned out of this capital fund at this point? For the roof project? Not yet.
Not at this
Okay,
point,
yeah.
no. We have multiple POs encumbered and getting ready, but
Okay.
nothing so far.
And then this document is just our calendar budget for the year, how we're developing next year's budget. So we're in March. So that's why, and this is a very similar template that we've used the last couple of years, where we're sharing what we're sharing right now. Just kind of highlighting that information and what you have to look forward to in April. We went over this with our district leadership team yesterday as well. So they received a copy of the calendar, so they're aware of the direction we're going as far as our budget planning for next year.
Do we have any concerted effort from our union partners of approaching the legislature on some of these issues?
You know, I know that PSE has been advocating, and that our team has been.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've had any other conversations with individuals. Yeah, I know that our PAW, for example, our billing administrators. So when we receive encouragement from WASA or WASDA, that I forward that information. So they are also doing anything what they can do.
That's what we do.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You did the joint op-ed with.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, I
Yes,
saw
yeah. So
that,
we
yeah.
did that as well. And so that hasn't been published at this point,
Oh,
but
sorry.
yeah, so but we are waiting for it to be.
It
Yeah.
was you and
Jay
Angela
Bennett.
or something?
Jay
Oh,
Bennett
Jay
and I,
Bennett. Oh, I
yeah.
haven't seen that
Yeah, so Jay and I did that. Yeah,
Okay.
did that together.
for the Columbian or the.
No, it's for the
Ghostwriters.
Washington.
That's all right.
Yeah, so it's, gosh, yeah, I can't remember what the exact,
all
yeah,
right.
so but it hasn't been published yet. I've been
Okay.
looking for it. And so we received an email from the individual that helped us prepare that.
Uh-huh.
Okay. So any other questions about this?
No.
Okay. And then just our identified legislative priorities that we've shared with multiple times and with multiple groups. And so appreciate that what we've identified, and we're tracking our MSOCs and special education. And we believe those two are definitely still, there's going to be some support there, just not nearly as much as we were hoping
Okay.
for. And now we're getting into legislative updates. So what, the specific bills that we are tracking and watching, we have heard the projected IPD is 2.5. So have heard that multiple times. That's not finalized, but that's what we believe it's going to be. So that is helpful for us in determining when we start to regularly meet with our labor partners regarding that increase, determining what that amount is based on our staffing. And so that total amount. So it's a percentage, but also that represents a total amount that's going to be based on our enrollment. So tracking that, as well as the big three that have identified. So special education, MSOCs, and then TK, we've shared what we're hearing about that. And so again, that would be really helpful for us as far as the MSOCs, just kind of watching what's going to eventually happen with that bill. And it looks similar to what's happened last year with that amount. It just kept getting reduced. We know that there's a lot of other demands on the budget, and there's a shortfall with the budget as well. So we will continue to advocate. I don't know if there's anything else, Shalish, you want to add to that?
So we follow the TWIO that comes out and is a kind of summary of how everything's going. And there was a special edition that came out either yesterday or today. And so I updated our slide based on what was still in action and any amounts that had changed. So just to point out, as Aaron said, the same thing that happened last year when we got around $21 per FTE. Currently, what they're anticipating is the $45.99 per FTE, and then an enhancement of $6.12. And so it's hard when you're looking at that. It's very small. So if you take what we plan to budget for enrollment for next year, the enhancement, you're talking $4,602. For MSOX, it's 112,000, and that is very, very minimal when we already are have way more costs than our MSOX are. So it's another one of those mini ones that is kind of funny to look at, and that we'll have to prove to them that we spent it on
Yeah.
MSOX, which will be easy to do. So,
All gone, yeah.
yes.
But I have a question about the IDP and whether it might be useful to. I mean, this is the IDP applied to our budgeted FTE. We hire many more staff, so the real IDP that's available is lower than this, and I think it'd be valuable to calculate that and.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
yeah, so we actually,
Everyone.
yep, so our principals, so the PA,
Yeah.
so last year when we sat down and had that conversation with them, that's what they actually realized
Yeah,
was how the 3.7, based on the number of employees that we have within the PA, that's what they realized was that percentage. So that is something that we do calculate,
Okay.
right? We take that amount and then we determine how many individuals we
split
have
it up and
and spread it out. So yeah, that is
Salary,
definitely
yeah.
something that we do with every one of our groups, is we determine how that amount of money that comes in for that specific group can be
how far it
shared.
goes.
Yes.
Basically.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else you want to add to that?
nope, that was
Okay.
what I had.
Any other questions? No? Okay. So now we get to enrollment. So we're looking at 25, 26 enrollment. And if we start with TK, for example, we see we have a group of 20 students at Cape, Hathaway, and Gauze. So we know right now we have about 60 students. So we put them there because this year we have 4. So if this was 24, 25, we would see 80 students there instead of 60. So right now what we're looking at is 60. However, if we have more students and more families that sign up their students, we could have 80.
Mhm.
And that 20 is in essence like the number. With 2 staff members, we try to keep a 1-to-10 ratio. So that's where that number comes from. Again, these are 4-year-olds. And so but if we can have 80, that'd be great to have 80. But we haven't made a decision specifically that this is where they're going to be. Because, and when we look at, interesting, when we started TK, we had TK at Hathaway. So that was where all the students were bused, was to Hathaway. So our preference would be to have students be in their neighborhood, neighboring school. It doesn't always work out that way. And then should we use a similar process that we've used previously with looking at as we roll students forward. So 1st grade goes to 2nd grade, 4th grade so it goes to 5th grade. And then you see then overall, we're looking at 2,419 on the graphic. So a total
TK
of
through 12.
TK through 12. So looking at where we think we're going to be with WLA being 19, and understanding that the average FTE for the year, right? Like, so TK or WLA started smaller, but is going to probably end larger. And so what the average is for the year, looking at, students that are 8th grade that won't be in WLA. So they're exiting. So anyway, what we're looking at is a 4% decrease from our current year, which is similar to last year. So it's important for us to budget to our enrollment and then make adjustments relative to what we believe is going to be our enrollment. There are some things that we are, I think, intentionally going to be doing that could assist with our enrollment, and we'll talk about those in a little bit. So do you have any questions about the projection?
Looks good and bad at the same time.
And then I always like to say, as a reminder, it's always better to budget under
Oh, yeah.
and in January realize more
Right.
revenue than budget over and in January lose revenue that you have all the staffing, too much staffing or you planned for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So our hope is that we're over and that this is under. For example, if we got 80 FTE, which is what last year we budgeted for 3 TTK, and in the summer we added a 4th. And the increase we are at now, the 20 students, that's pretty much that 4th
Yeah.
TTK. Yeah.
Related but not on this page is the community preschool. Is there any
Yeah,
input or update on?
yeah, so,
that?
yeah, we can give you, so, and yeah, we won't ever is the wrong word, but we
Not
wouldn't
part of
put that, yeah,
budget,
we wouldn't
no,
put that on here
right,
because it's a tuition-based
Right,
program, and there is some interest. And we are planning to offer community ed preschool as long as we have the number. And right now, the number is probably going to be closer to 2021. There was an article in the Columbian recently that identified a number of 16 that was based on a full day.
yeah,
Right now, we're looking at it. More than likely, it's going to be an AM session and a PM session. There's some challenges with a whole day program. So that lines up more with like what we had done previously
Yeah.
for a long time.
Okay.
So there is some interest, and we're working on letting those individuals know who have expressed interest with us to like keep them updated, as well as, you know, how we can get our website updated and everything live there. So individuals that are interested can sign up so we can get closer to what actually is going to be the number.
Yeah.
So again, our goal is to have one community ed preschool that would probably be in one of our town schools. And it would be at one location. If we have more students to add another community preschool, then we would add it to another school. Again, it needs to be something that will fund itself.
yes,
Right?
I
We just
totally
don't
agree
have
with that.
funds to invest
Right.
in a program that's not doing that.
Right. What, do we have a mechanism for reaching out to new families that are moving here between, let's say, now and August? I don't know how to find them. I don't know anything about it, but I know people move into Washougal from anywhere USA.
We've talked about that a little bit. Facebook posts, we've talked about fence banners, signs so that when people are driving, it's, you know, we are now enrolling for 3-year-olds. To try to display it out there.
Right.
Yeah. Excellent question. So how can we get the word out? And so I think there's other ways. Those are the things we've talked about. I'm sure there's some other things we can do to spread the word.
Well, thinking families that move from a state that doesn't have any TK might not even know it's part of the Washington State education system, but sounds like we're doing it. So
Right.
good.
And the idea of what happens legislatively could impact the number of programs we have, community preschool sites that we have. But again, it's looking very promising for TK.
Good.
And so some of those families that expressed interest in community preschool also probably expressed interest in TK.
Mhm.
And I know that Connor is working with interviewing is not the right term, screening our TK students right now. So he's going through that process. All right, so we get to then, so what does this all mean? And you think about our conversations we were having last year about this time. So what we've identified based on a 4% decrease, that amount is between 1.3 million and 1.5 million is what we're looking at, reductions that are going to be necessary based on our projected enrollment. So what we were just discussing is because we have fewer students, there's a loss of FTE, which means there's a loss of state apportionment dollars. We also have, as a result of lower enrollment, our levy for the 25-26 school year, there's a reduction in our levy amount that we can receive. We also have obligations in our contracts that we need to make sure that we're able to meet those requirements. We have SEB insurance increases, as well as everything that we are purchasing that's going to be impacted by inflation. So for those reasons, we've identified 1.3 million to 1.5 million, that range. You know, what impacts that will be what happens legislatively. But this is where we're starting. So we're going through a similar process we did last year. I emailed a communication to all of our staff members yesterday at 4 o'clock, just basically identifying what's going on with our projected enrollment. And I know that our labor, we are meeting with our labor partners letting them know, decisions that we're gonna be making. We have not identified all of the positions. We do believe, with confidence that the majority of this savings will be through attrition. And that's right now, we're looking at based on the number of individuals that we have, that have shared with us, that they're not gonna be with us next year. Anything else you want to add to that?
No, that's great.
Okay. Any questions?
Jane?
Nope.
I'm good.
And then this is just something that we've, when we've been discussing this year, what have we prioritized as far as our budget and looking at next year, to have a balanced budget, which that's what we present to you every year. Restore our fund balance to 6%. And then really there's a greater goal that's the minimum, but to get it to 8%, and Jimmy even at different times talked about 8 to 10%. So right now we feel good about 6%, the minimum, and based on what Shalise has put together as far as tracking, it looked like it could be, it could be close to 8% if the way the year has gone continues. If we can continue to keep students enrolled. And, if TK is fully funded. So again, we may not know that till we may not realize that till the end of August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My interest in 10% is really just based on what people say for small
Right.
districts.
Yes, yeah,
It's not
absolutely.
a
Yes,
random
yep.
number.
We heard that of course, we heard that this fall at WSD,
Right.
the WSD conference. And, when you look at that, cash on hand number, and we know what the auditors have said, and then also the OSBI's formula, right? Yeah, so absolutely. And then just being transparent with what is happening and how we're making decisions. So I think that has been encouraged this whole year. And I think that we are delivering.
I think
with
you
that.
are succeeding.
And, I think there's a double-edged sword to it when we talk openly about programs that we're trying to offer, like community ed preschool. And it's somewhat of a moving target because of legislatively what's happening. But we want to let families know, especially with that as an example, is they are planning for next year. And so if they want to be a part of the program that we're going to offer, they want to know what's happening. So we're doing our best to keep individuals updated.
I think that also allows them to be advocates with the legislature from a family perspective.
Right.
Important.
Yep. So thinking about next year, and I don't have a slide specific to this. So we're talking about community ed preschool, and we think that would be something that would be helpful. It's tuition based. It doesn't necessarily help with our projected enrollment, but there is this idea that families whose students are in preschool with us will then be in TK with us and then will remain with us.
Right.
And so, and I believe that to be the case. We're also looking at adding WLA 912. So it's a high school online learning opportunity. And so we're building that into our plan. And I think that will assist us with also, we have families who choose to go to online programs at 912.
Right.
And that's not something that we're currently offering.
So that'd be a package program or
yes. So it's similar to our K-8 WLA program. So we would have a person who would be managing, supporting the students.
Right.
There's similar curriculum that we are looking at. We would use the same curriculum for the K-8, but we're also looking at additional curriculum for electives and additional support. So that's something that I think that's different than this year, that we see that there's a possibility of supporting our families, again, that are choosing not to stay with the Washougal School District because we don't offer that.
Right.
So we're looking to offer that. Anything else you want to add to that? Tracy? Okay. Well, I think that is all we have. It's a little lean on the bargaining update. So here's the bargaining update: is we're currently not bargaining, and we are planning to bargain with PSC, WAE, and PA this year. We are just, when we're talking to them, they're wanting to wait until we see what happens with the legislature, which is so April 27th. Is the designated date.
Right.
And then we'll see if they go a little bit longer, but that's, it doesn't leave a lot of time to bargain through the, late spring.
Contract expires at the end of August or when is the contract?
Yes,
Mhm.
in
Yeah.
August, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Any questions?
Nope.
Nope. Okay, thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the proposal for action and approval of the Gauze Hathaway
For
replacement.
citizen comment. We don't have any citizen
No,
comments.
no.
We don't have
citizen
citizen
comments,
comments,
sorry. So the Hathaway Gauze flooring replacement contracts, any questions on the contract? We got it by email. Or we talked about it last meeting extensively. And I'm a little confused. Can we do this at a workshop meeting? Oh, this is a business meeting.
This is a business.
Never mind.
Yes.
Okay, any a motion to approve that flooring contract?
I move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Motion carries. Wow, this is a business meeting. It's okay. Next is the policy revision, sexual harassment of students prohibited, second reading. Any questions on that? We talked about it pretty extensively last time. No questions, Jane?
Good
Ida?
on my,
No,
Motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed,
I,
carries. Okay, comments from the board of directors. I'll start with Ida because she's right here.
Right here. I don't really have any, other than there's a lot going on
In the world.
in the world. And, yeah. That about sums it up for me.
Jane, any comments?
I second what Ida had to say, and just a big thank you to everybody in the district for trying to keep everyone informed as much as we can with what is impacting or what we're waiting to hear on. So good communication there. Thank you.
And I'll second that. And, I'm really gratified to see that we've pulled our financial situation up into hopefully the B- range, but at least the C+ range. And really appreciate that.
Great.
Superintendent's update.
Yes, all right. Well, I have a few slides I want to share. You actually have copies in front of you. So March is Youth Arts Month, and so we are, we're coming to the end of Youth Arts Month, but we have a little bit of information about what has been happening. And we see Les does a really good job of gathering evidence of art, and so we have some art there to show you. Then there's a free event coming up March 29th at Hathaway Park through a Columbia Play Project. And so that's a fun opportunity for our families to participate in that, which will be the first Saturday of spring break. Really? So that's great. So
Can I interject?
yeah, of course.
They did an event like that at Hamlet Park this past Saturday. It's very successful. A lot of families showed up, a lot of kids making art.
Great.
Really successful. So
Excellent.
hopefully our in-town people take advantage of that.
Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing that. So this picture is just an event that happened at Jump to Guard, and I think this was last week. Possibly this happened, that Danny Allen really was responsible for this event at JMS, inviting families and students in. So that's just a collage of all sorts of things that were happening. So there were a lot of individuals there excited that Danny and her team put that together. So just an excellent job by Danny. Moving to, we had a site visit this week. We went to JMS and CRG. So thank you, Tracy, for organizing that. And thank you to our principals at those schools, those teams, for providing what I thought was a really great opportunity for us. So what I have here is just really a description for you. Pictures on the right, that's Jason Foster, who's a 6th grade science teacher. He took his students on a field trip to see our HVAC system. And so it worked out perfectly. The timing that we were there with them to hear Jason and to see those students, they were so engaged with that. But so I'm going to start with where we started. So I'll try to make this brief. We started in the staff wellness space, which I think maybe you have seen. This was Jumping Guard did not have a staff room alone. They shared a staff room with CRG. This year, we've worked on that's been a priority in all of our buildings to enhance our staff wellness spaces. So it's really not just a staff room, it's a wellness space. So that's where we started, and that has been very well received by that staff. Then we went to Cheryl McIntyre, who's teaching math mindset, and I have that wrong on the title there. Math mindset class, which is just a phenomenal class that sixth graders take. And what was interesting is everywhere we went at Jump to Guard, there felt like there was this intentional an activity or to emphasize critical thinking. So in the math class, when we walked in, they were really working on developing an argument based on a graphic. And they were voting, they initially voted, and then they discussed what the data showed and what the picture represented, and then they voted again. And so it was really engaging and appreciate the work that Cheryl's doing. Then we went and joined Jason on the tour. And then once they went outside, we decided not to go outside because it's cold and rainy. So that was the part where we stayed in. But every one of the students had a clipboard and they were taking notes, and he was walking them around discussing what was happening within that space, and talking about hot water and cool water and vapor, and when it goes from a vapor to a liquid. So just really appreciated the work he was doing, and they were so engaged. These are sixth graders in science class asking questions, and he was asking them questions. So we went from that to a CTE class, robotics. It happened to be advanced robotics. So these were eighth graders, I think, that had been in robotics before. And so appreciate Mr. Lewis and Margaret in providing that opportunity for our students working in pairs. And then we went next door to Scott Rainey's eighth grade social studies class. Now, interesting that we went in there intentionally because we have some students whose primary language is Spanish, and they were in there, and Dana Wilson is one of our multilingual paras, so she's supporting those students and working closely with Scott. We also had fifth graders from GAUS that were visiting, because we brought fifth graders all week. We had fifth graders coming from different elementary schools to visit the middle schools. And instead of doing it in June, doing it in March is such a good idea.
That is a great idea.
And so in the class, we had some adults, additional adults. We had the fifth graders working with, like, they had a buddy that was an eighth grader. And then our students who, again, Dana was supporting, but some of the things that Scott had done is he, in preparing, had documents that were in Spanish. So he thought that would be helpful. And then we watched this video clip, and that it was set up so there was Spanish. So just really appreciated just the thoughtfulness in preparing for students who are new to us and in providing the support. So that was just a great experience. And then using technology to support those students. And just the idea that he was also, one of the things that Scott was talking about in this lesson was perspective, and how perspective changes, and thinking about your thinking, and think about how your thinking changes once you gain new information. And it happened to be around Uncle Tom's Cabin. And so we were there for like 10 minutes. It was 15 minutes. It was just really an engaging introduction to that lesson. So really appreciated that trip. And then we just kind of debriefed, our experience with David and Tiffany. And then we went over to CRG, where Hannah started us off just saying, this is what it's going to look like. We started with our lab interventions for reading. Connie Vernon, who's the teacher, Angela Frank and Angie Gibson were the pairs, and they were working with small groups. So those are students to pull out model and working with students on reading. Then we went to the resource room where Sarah Arnold was working with two of her paras, supporting students in small groups. Then kindergarten in art, and they were working on an art project with Jessica Bloomer. Then fourth grade, it was really just a Q&A. So we had two fourth grades that are side by side, and in both of them, we didn't exactly know who was going to be asking the questions. We ended up asking the questions, and they were answering the questions, and it was really heavily focused on math. And so we were talking about math and the math they were learning, but also the math they use at home. And so that was, we kind of kept that math focus in both of the fourth grade classes. Then we visited Reed Northwest. Anna Paul was there. That's a program that we've talked a lot about. Really appreciate that. That partnership with Reed Northwest, then to Erica Maxey's class with kindergartners. And she, when we got there, she was working, she had all together and just preparing them for this partner game and just very explicitly going over the rules of the game and how they were going to be interacting together. Then they just broke up and went into their pairs. We went and looked at the multilingual space because they previously have not had a space for students who receive multilingual support. And so she, Hannah, there happens to be a room.
It's a much larger space.
Yeah, much larger space, and it's their space. And she said that's really that's their place. Yeah. So designating that, they appreciate that, and it's also a place where they can have specific tools and strategies that they can use. And then Leslie Gillespie, they were playing pickleball. So I'm not sure if the two of you or Jane are getting into pickleball, but it is
I tried it. It's rough on your joints.
Rough on your joints. Well, so we were trying watching fifth graders play pickleball in that confined space. It was really impressive to watch them. And then we finished with Michelle Medeiros, who's an amazing counselor for us, longtime counselor, and just kind of talking through with us how she supports students in zones of regulation. So really appreciated that visit. I was considered very successful visit. Then I want to continue to give you a strategic planning update. So now I think we visited about 18 different groups. What you see on the left is we went to the student leadership class at the high school, full class, and went through a similar process. So there's some pictures of us working with those students. I want to make sure that I had a student where they were a picture where they were working, and then one where they were looking at us smiling. And so really appreciated their engagement. Interesting, there was a real focus on financial literacy.
Interesting.
And in that, they just kept coming up, how important that is. And the life skills. Cape Horn Sky staff pictures there along with PSE. So we do with PSE, it was a membership meeting. So there were other things they were going to be doing after we did this. And so not always when we go to a building are the classified staff able to attend because their day might be shorter. So this was trying to help get as many PSE members. So there's some pictures of our PSE meeting and then the Cape Horn Sky staff there. And then we just finished with GAUS today. And so this afternoon before this meeting, we're at GAUS working with the GAUS staff. And something that I really appreciated was Tammy Cole did a great job setting us up for success with her team and presenting what was about, and then also just kind of talking about what's going really well right now. So appreciated her effort in doing that, and we just were thrilled with their participation. A couple of things I just want to highlight is, so we talked about unified basketball getting third place in the state, and just what a remarkable job that the athletes did and our coaches. Well, we had two athletes who intended to participate in the All-Star game that happened over the weekend. Jaden was not able to go, but we did have a student who did. Riley did play, and our coaches were there. So just highlighting that recognition, that involvement, appreciate that. And there's a picture of Riley shooting a shot. Just a wonderful program for our students. Supporting Youth Arts Month and talking about that. This is a picture of our high school band participating over the weekend. David Duarte happens to mention to me probably every time I see him, all the different activities that they're doing in competition now. So appreciate that, that they are, and he's talking about how well his band is doing, how much they're improving. Appreciate all that he does and the commitment that our students have in being a part of band, and then just our community for supporting band and other activities through levy support. So continuing to look forward to their success. And then, you know, it's springtime. We were at a track meet. This is about an hour ago. So these are really fresh pictures. Our team is competing against Mark Morris. And so you see a pole vault through there. And then I think that's the 4x1. Beautiful day for a track meet. And so just thrilled with, you know, fortunately there was no rain today and they had a great day. And again, thanks to our community for supporting extracurricular activities. There was an event at the high school, I think this was last week. So partnering with IQ and Go West credit unions, or the IQ Credit Union and Go West Credit Union Association, providing this opportunity for our seniors. And unfortunately I wish I would have been there. This is something that Kathy Scoba and other CTE teachers put this together, partnering with them and this experience for our seniors around financial literacy. And just so appreciate these opportunities. Again, we heard it from our students. We've heard it from our parents. We've heard it from other staff that this is a high priority. We know this is a bill currently that's being looked at for increasing financial literacy standards. So well done by the high school. And then finally, a few photos of Tracy, who has made a decision to retire at the conclusion of this year. And so those two pictures on the left are pictures that I've already shared where this was an event. This was Bites and Books a couple weeks ago, and Tracy reading with our students. I chose these pictures for two reasons. That you see those students are highly engaged in listening to Tracy read to them. Tracy has been such a strong proponent of reading literacy and literacy. So done such a great job with us for a long time. I appreciate that's a passion of hers. It's a strength of hers. And so just love that and what she's done. And so, you know, she's been our teaching and learning director for a couple of years, but prior to that, she was the principal at CRG. And so she was she opened up CRG. She was a planning principal prior to us, you know, having CRG. So there she's holding a live otter, which is incredibly dangerous. We recently, one of our current students wrote an essay about otters and just some of the things they do. They're very aggressive. And so she tamed that otter. She's been an amazing teammate of ours, and we are going to miss her. We appreciate all that she's done. We'll continue to appreciate her through this year, but just wanted to highlight her commitment to Washougal. And when I go in to a middle school with her, and typically the elementary school at CRG, but we go to middle school, she's like a rock star because kids will get up, no matter what's happened, come over and give her a hug. And I'm quite jealous, actually, that, you know, there's this recognition. They just push me out of the way. And the teachers love it, don't they, Tracy? They're just thrilled. So thank you, Tracy. And so much for all you do.
Thank you.
Okay. That is it.
Okay. No citizen comment?
No.
True.
True.
So any future agenda items? Jane, anything on the future?
Not on my,
Oh, okay. Board evaluations are online as usual. And I can do it without a motion. I'll just adjourn at 7:19.
Oh, we need a motion. I'll motion to
Okay.
conclude, or what is it?
Adjourn.
Adjourn.
Yes.
Second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.